Okay. Right. For people listening live, thank you for being here. For some reason, my software reset everything and changed all the default settings. So up until about now, they've been able to hear you, gameplay, and not me. So, I want to apologize. See, normally with this software, it lets you import the settings from the previous time you used it. And I have everything set a certain way so people can hear Logan, they can hear me, and there's no gameplay in the background when it comes to audio. For some reason, this week it had me muted, it had the gameplay audio on full, which I never have it on at all, and they've had Logan's volume on full. So, yeah, I'd like to apologize. For some reason, OBS does not like me, and it messes up. So, yeah, I was wondering what's going on, why people can't hear me. That's why. So, yeah, OBS, get your act together because, my God, we haven't import previous settings for a reason. And if it's going to crap the bed, what's the point of having that option? Jesus. Anyway, right, yeah, all you could hear was the game loud. I apologize because normally, and I'll get into what I've been playing and we'll get into all the juicy topics. Normally, I edit together a bunch of gameplay clips that obviously have audio because I post these on social media. I use these as content and stuff. And when I put these together, I edit together as like a 10-15 minute video to use as the background. And what I do in the editing software or OBS, it lets me hit this little tiny like mute button, right? That goes red when you hit it, and then make sure that people listening can't hear game audio. For some reason, the settings were reversed this time. Okay, I'm done pulling my hair out. So what have I been playing? Well, you know what? I'm actually almost done with Final Fantasy 16. Absolutely loved it. The second expansion has absolutely destroyed me. I've said for the past 100 hours I've been playing it, it's an easy game. It's the easiest Final Fantasy I've ever played. This expansion, it humbled me. I regret saying this game was easy because, my God, let's just say when people get to this expansion, you're going to load the difficulty. Trust me, because... And I haven't loaded the difficulty. I'm persevering through action mode, it's what it's called. But it's good, though. Like, I love the area. It's beautiful. For people that are playing the game, you know that. Like, 70% through the game, the entire sky of the game kind of goes purple. Well, when you're in this new area, it's bright, it's blue, it's green, gorgeous grasslands, and I'm dreading the next boss fight. I know it's going to be a pain. Other than that, I've been playing, Warzone. Nobody's interested. I will say this: I don't understand what cheaters get out of playing multiplayer because they aren't using their skill. So why do they do it? Are they doing it to grief players?
It's God complex.
Yeah, it makes no bloody sense. I hate it, and it's like when you watch someone's kill cam, you can obviously see that they're using wall hacks because they're aiming at you through a wall. So, like, are you just admitting that you're that bad that you need these wall hacks? Like, I admit I'm terrible at Call of Duty, right? I'm trying my best, and you have these sweats that people pay for cheats in video games. You know how much of a sad loser move that is to pay for cheats? Like, it's not like back in the day when you would unlock big head mode in GoldenEye, right? Or no gravity mode on, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, right? It's not like that. People pay for cheats. It's crazy. But outside of that, been playing Cyberpunk some more. I mean, what can I say? I'm loving that game. And I am planning on getting to Borderlands soon. I was waiting for the field of view update. Turns out that's a thing now. So probably by this time next week, I will be playing Borderlands 4. I've heard nothing but good things about Borderlands outside of the whole performance thing it had at launch. Apparently now it's okay. I don't know about the PC version, though. But everything I've heard on the console side, it looks good, performs great. I know people that are playing it on the Xbox, the Series S, and the PlayStation as well. So far, no issues. Logan, are you planning on getting Borderlands at any point? Or does it not interest you?
Um, to be honest, I'm kind of burnt out on Borderlands and um the whole Randy experience.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe on a steep sale at some point because those suckers, to be completely honest, end up getting like insane discounts to where they end up like $10 eventually.
Yeah.
Like, and then they try to always say for you discount, and like you can get the bundle of all the games for like dirt cheap. So at that point, sure. Right now, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this though, and I've been doing this in the meantime, that basically Randy Pitchford or Gearbox, they will post these codes for golden keys every single day. Even though you don't have the game yet, you can still unlock them. So I recommend doing that. If you just remotely plan on getting Borderlands at some point, just get the golden keys, unlock them every day. Literally takes seconds. You just copy and paste it into the Shift website. And it turns out that the keys for Borderlands 4 are timed to 48 hours. So as long as you get in time, you'll have the key. And when you play the game, you'll have a bunch of golden keys ready for those golden chests, which, not bad in my opinion. I mean, I've already unlocked
Good
it.
luck.
Yeah, I've unlocked about 26, I think, already, and I don't have the game yet. Um, but yeah, looking forward to playing Borderlands. I just got a review code for Final Fantasy Tactics: The Everlease Chronicles, so I'll be talking about that next week. Literally got the code about a minute before the show started. Not the best timing, but hey, I'm thankful to Square Enix for the code because, look, I love Final Fantasy. Clearly, I talk about it too much. Maybe too much, if that's a problem. But anyway, we have like 50 news topics. At least it feels that way. And before we get into all that, I want to talk about something quickly, which wasn't really going to be a news topic. Actually, before all that, again, we had audio issues, clearly, at the beginning of the show. If you enjoyed it now that you can hear me, please share it out. Sometimes YouTube, it's an amazing website. It doesn't share out the stuff. And liking it, likes do actually help with the algorithm for some reason. So anyway, a few hours ago, Microsoft did a policy update to the Microsoft Awards program where starting from October 1st, you won't be able to use Microsoft Reward points to redeem Game Pass codes. But from now on, you're going to have to basically use your Microsoft points to redeem currency, then get your Game Pass. Now, it's annoying. It's adding an unnecessary extra step. They have changed the currency conversion, so you're going to need more points, which, I don't agree with. It's a silly move, I love the Microsoft Rewards program. For some reason, I've only been able to use it since October 2019. And, in that time, I think I've saved, or at least earned, at least over 1.2 million points. I've gotten discounts off the console. I bought my Starfield controller with points. I've bought tons of AA games, AAA games, indie games, Game Pass, movies, basically anything you can think of. So it's a good service. It's just Microsoft has a tendency to gut it. And it's kind of funny because it gets announced the same day they say that Game Pass revenue hit over $5 billion. So it's like, it's a thing companies do, I've noticed, where they'll announce how much revenue they've made, and then they give you bad news. It's like, it seems like the most corporate thing to do. But, there's lots of deals that go around when it comes to Game Pass, so just keep an eye out. I try to post these things when I find them, but yeah. Bit of a bad move. And the thing is, I've spoken to people that work on the rewards team, right? Nice people. They just directed this stuff, and I guarantee, I bet the reward situation wouldn't have gone the way it has if Apple didn't pay for. If Google didn't pay for basically exclusivity when it comes to being the default search engine on iPhones. I think they paid like $20 billion for that. It might have been 50 billion. It was like some insane number. And honestly, and I'm not saying this because of award points, I think Bing is a better search engine. It's easy to find video. There's less AI stuff when you do searches. If you try and search anything now on Google when it comes to images, it's all AI, right? Bing, not as much. So hopefully they iron some stuff out and, give gamers more opportunities to get points, because every day it feels like we're getting something taken away and we're always told we're being offered more ways to earn. However, that's not really the case. At the minute you can earn points by doing your Game Pass quests, your daily searches and stuff, but yeah, they need to improve it a little just to, give something back, because all the people that use Bing on a daily basis, they tell other people to use Bing. I've told other people to use. Hell, I've gotten family members to use Bing as their regular search engine. But hey, what do I know? Logan, what do you think of the whole Microsoft Awards thing before we get into the topics?
Oh, it's a bummer. I mean, I'm trying to think of a word to use for it because of guidelines and
Yeah.
things, but basically, um, the way they have basically tore it down to the studs, like originally it was this beautiful mansion, overflowing oasis, like all these goodies, you could get all this stuff. It was like almost comically generous how you could you stack points and buy Game Pass or games or subscriptions, all kinds of stuff. And now it is like well, I mean, it's technically there. It's technically something, but it it just is what it is at this point. Like, would I like it to be better than this? Absolutely. Is it better than nothing? Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. You know what? We've got a ton of different news topics, so let's get into all of it. Now, a Game Pass game dropped today that I want to talk about, and it's not a new one, and that's why I want to talk about it. So, if you if you pay attention to all the Game Pass announcements, it's always new stuff or stuff that's been out a couple of years. However, we don't have 360 games showing up in Game Pass. I've always wondered this. It just seems like it would be an easy win. There's a lot of cool, popular 360 games that they should have in the service. Well, as of today, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light from the Xbox 360 is in Game Pass Ultimate today. Now, I've played it. It's a really cool game, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's a nice little step, because we haven't seen a 360 game added to Game Pass in many years. Like, I think maybe pre-pandemic, right? It's been a long time. So this is a good move with all the Transformers rumors and stuff we've been hearing over the past few months. To me, this is a cool little step, because it shows that Microsoft, maybe they paid more attention to people like us that always say that we should have more access to 360 games and put more of these in Game Pass. Logan, what do you think? Because while it being a small game, it's a step in the right direction.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I accidentally hit the button on my mic. Yeah, this is great news. Like, this is a cult classic, and one of the like spin-offs of Tomb Raider that was really successful. Ended up with a sequel as well, like Temple of Osiris, and it actually created kind of an iconic look for Lara Croft that was a little bit different than some of the other ones. And it's really fun gameplay and experience, and highly rated and reviewed. And I totally recommend people play this, and it's perfect for mobile devices
Oh
as
yeah.
well, or on the go, or if you're wanting just kind of like, this is a game you can hop in and play for a while and then switch to something else and come back to. It's not like oh my gosh, where was I kind of game. So it's definitely a good pick up and go game, and everyone should check it out. This is a great get, and you're right. There should be more 360 and OG games in Game Pass. There are some glaring omissions for various reasons, and you know, um, Maybe at this pace of one Activision game a month, we'll eventually get there before our
Yeah,
50s, but we'll
hopefully.
see.
Yeah, we'll get there one day. But yeah, if people haven't played, like I bought this Lara Croft game, what 2012 when it came out, 2011. It's a good game. And for people that don't know, it's kind of like it's if you were to take a Tomb Raider game, place it in a Diablo style view. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's a good game. The sequel was good as well, Temple of Osiris. So yeah, I'm guessing that'll be added at some point. But hey, it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully we get Lost Odyssey put in there at some point because I'm sick of people asking me. It would just be nice. You know what? My God, my mouse keeps falling off the table. So I want to talk about this quickly, and this is the Call of Duty versus Battlefield thing. And this is the part where Logan falls asleep because multiplayer.
Yeah, wake me up.
Yeah. People have been extremely volatile online about Battlefield versus Call of Duty, and I still don't understand. And I've been a fan of both in the past. And I've noticed that no matter what people from Call of Duty post, be it, some new weapon skins for Black Ops 7, the new maps that's coming out with the beta, you have Battlefield people basically crapping on the game, saying that they should change these things. And these people have no intention of playing Call of Duty. And you have the Call of Duty diehards that basically, stream Call of Duty. They're wanting Call of Duty to be more like Battlefield. And so I get not doing the Beavis and Butthead skins thing, because to me that was a bit much. You're walking around on Warzone. You have Beavis and Butthead running around. You have Nicki Minaj chasing after you. There's Homelander running the other direction. Like, it is a bit all over the place. However, it's fun. And I guess, like, people want more serious skins, but let's be honest, right? If you play in Battlefield, you want the experience. They need to support that game with skins. I'm not a military guy. I'm not in the military. But how many different kinds of beige military outfits can you have? Because if people don't think that they're going to put Dead Space skins in there, Mass Effect skins, maybe some Mirror's Edge tinted stuff, right? You can't honestly think that they're going to have 50 different kinds of beige military uniforms for Battlefield. They're going to make people buy some weird skins at some point. Hopefully not the Call of Duty route, but the endless battle in between Call of Duty and Battlefield never makes sense to me because they're both completely different games. Call of Duty is a fast-paced, I want to call it twitch shooter, and Battlefield it's not sim, but it's more serious, it's more methodical, and I think there's room for both, and I think people that want Call of Duty like Battlefield, they don't even know what Call of Duty is, and then you have the sweats, the streamers, that only talk about Call of Duty. They're now hating on COD because they've experienced Battlefield and they want something different. It's completely wrong. And by the way, I know this for a fact that when Call of Duty comes out, you're going to have people that have hated on it for months. They're going to buy it and they're going to play it anyway because they can't stick with Battlefield. Because when you play Call of Duty, you can play Call of Duty casually if you like. You can't do that with Battlefield. And I say that as a Battlefield fan. You just can't play it that way. It's not a casual experience. It's a sweat experience. But I just wanted to bring it up because that's all I've been seeing this past week. It's like the Call of Duty beta is around the corner. Battlefield launches later in, mid-October, right? Both games are going to be bloody popular. Battlefield is finally back. Call of Duty Black Ops 7, that's going to be huge. Black Ops 7, no matter how much it gets hated, it's probably going to be the best selling game of the year. Which is saying a lot considering how many successful games that came out this year. I know Logan is probably mainly looking forward to the Black Ops 7 campaign, as well as myself. And look, I think that campaign, it looks damn good, right? And that's where I'm going to spend the majority of my time playing Call of Duty, as well as the occasional Warzone match. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up because it's been this weird back and forth that's so annoying. It's like these two fan bases, they argue with each other all the time, and it's over crap that doesn't matter. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up. So, over the next week or so, apparently, there's going to be a brand new AAA third-person Lord of the Rings game announced. Apparently, it's a very high budget game, very high quality game, and we haven't really heard much about it. We don't even know who's developing it. I have a theory it's a Focus Entertainment published game because they've actually been really quiet for a while. They work with a bunch of big third party developers that haven't released anything for a while. And I was looking at Ubisoft's developers. I can't see any of them putting out a Lord of the Rings game because the majority of them are actually making Assassin's Creed games. So it looks like in the next couple of weeks we're going to have a new third-person Lord of the Rings action-adventure game announced that is apparently meant to be on par with Hogwarts Legacy. Now that's a damn good thing to say. That is a damn good thing to say because I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a big old nerd. Who doesn't love Lord of the Rings? And if you don't, shame on you. We don't have enough Lord of the Rings games. I was whining last week about Star Trek, and I will always whine about Star Trek not having enough games, but Lord of the Rings just seems like such an easy IP to make games in. You know, big sprawling, fantasy, action, adventure. We haven't really had that this generation. We had the Shadow of Mordor games, which was that combat, by the way, and Shadow of Mordor, chef's kiss. Yes, it was essentially Batman Arkham, but who doesn't like that combat? Really fun games, and they actually patched out the microtransaction stuff in the sequel. But it looks like something's going to be announced soon. I wish there was more I could talk about it, but literally, it looks like the developer's gone like super quiet. The fact that nobody can track down who's developing it, that's a good sign. That means it's a big project. They want to keep it secret because the game industry is filled with leaks on a daily basis, and it looks like this isn't actually going to leak. And apparently it's going to be announced in the next 2 weeks. Logan, what's your take? Because not many people are talking about it because there's not really any news about it other than the fact that it exists.
Well, that's actually news to me.
Yep.
I'm thrilled to hear that. It sounds awesome. Like I love Lord of the Rings. It's iconic. Like, to this day I still wish EA or somebody could relicense the old trilogy of games.
Oh yeah.
Um and put them out like even if it was a simple port, I'd pick them up. They were super fun. And like the old Spider-Man games that tied into the movies but also added additional content, like back in the golden era of tie-in stuff. And yeah, so this sounds awesome. It'll be interesting to play a modern Lord of the Rings game without the Nemesis system. Rest in peace, Nemesis system, because nobody's using it and can use it for what, half a century. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know what? I'll check after the show's finished, but I'm pretty sure that the Nemesis system can't be used elsewhere or anything made like it. I think it's this century. I think it's this decade. I hope it's this bloody century. But I'm pretty sure it's like this decade where that runs out. So
Okay, good, because that's better than what I thought. Like, in like novels and writing and
yeah,
stuff, the statute is like 70 years after the death of the author or something like that. So,
yeah. So like, hopefully, I'm. How what a shame that is. By the way, the most interesting game mechanic made in the past 25 years. Nobody can use it. Like, or
oh,
like,
imagine if Nintendo had made it.
oh god. Jeez, yeah, that would be bad. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be announced soon. I kind of do want it to be a Warner Brothers studio, but apparently it's not. I looked at like Warner Brothers Studios. They're all busy making other games. You know, Respawn is making a Batman game. The team that made Gotham Knights, I'm pretty sure they are also working on a new DC game. But like outside
It's
of
Embracer is my guess.
yeah,
Because didn't they buy the rights to Lord of the Rings
yeah,
content?
yeah. They own the Lord of the Rings IP now.
Well, there you go.
The reason I don't think it's one of their studios is simply because I don't think they have a studio big enough to make that kind of game. You know, you look at all their projects; they're actually like smaller, focused games. I can't see them putting out a big, third-person open world AAA action adventure set in the Lord of the Rings universe. That seems like a very tall order. I'd love to be wrong, you know. I'd love more studios to make big games like that. But hey, I'm just happy because, you know, when I played Dragon's Dogma 2, my favorite thing was literally just walking, going on an adventure to the next town. Right? Such a small thing for an open world RPG. But that is the best thing about that game. Just adventuring along. And yeah, Lord of the Rings, what can I say? I think ideally everyone wants this sort of open world, Middle Earth, full Lord of the Rings universe, right? Will that ever happen in our lifetime? I hope so. I really do. But I mean, like, look, I've got Red Dead Redemption footage going on the screen at the minute. Will we ever get a Lord of the Rings game that looks like this on this scale? I'm guessing we will at some point, but it just seems like an IP that it just screams more video games should be made in. You know, you have these, we have AA Lord of the Rings games, such as that Gollum game, and there's a what's it called, Return to Moria.
Oh yeah, like the survival
Yeah,
crafting dwarf game. Yeah.
yeah, and apparently that's pretty good, but like it just feels like the AAA space, like we're getting less and less licensed games. You know, Sony have to pay an absurd amount of money to make Spider-Man and I assume Wolverine, right? You have EA that are making less AAA Star Wars games than they originally planned years ago. Ubisoft, we don't know what they're doing with Star Wars going forward. And it just seems like if you want a licensed universe game, there's a huge chance it's never going to happen, which is a shame. Unless Warner Brothers own them, which means we probably will get games. Like, we're going to get a Hogwarts Legacy 2. We're going to get a new open world Batman game. But when it comes to Lord of the Rings, man, that's a tall order. But hey, apparently it's going to be announced very soon, basically before the Game Awards. So hey, I'm sure everyone's going to be all over that when it's announced. You know what? It's one of the big topics, and it's going to be a long one, and that is the EA buyout. Oof, I have a lot to say. So,
Full.
yeah, this is a messy one. So, for people that don't know, EA had a leveraged buyout by a Saudi Arabian company, and they basically own EA now. And there's been like constant speculation, what's going on, and you know, some people are worried, some people aren't, some people think things aren't going to change, and people are all over the place. Like, you know, when Microsoft bought, you know, Activision Blizzard, people were making all sorts of videos. You had some of the biggest podcasters on the planet basically talking about how Microsoft's making a monopoly or trying to be in a monopoly. I don't think people realize what's actually going on, right? When Microsoft bought Bethesda, Bethesda wanted to be bought. When Activision was bought, Activision was looking to be bought. However, this at EA was a leveraged buyout, right? This was originally never meant to happen. It's going to be a private company. So when people cry about monopolies and stuff, this is the type of thing they should be worried about. Because how many different times have we heard that a Saudi Arabian company has bought out a company, bought out a huge stake in a company, right? Leveraged buyouts, right? Oh, sorry. Okay, I saw in the chat. It's not a Saudi Arabian company. It's the Saudi government. Okay, that's even more messy. I had no idea. I thought it was like a bloody conglomerate in Saudi Arabia. But okay, the government in Saudi Arabia. Even more so. What the hell? I'm seeing people from BioWare panic. I'm seeing people from other EA studios. And by the way, I'll get this out of the way. I 100% believe that if you work on a sports game or Battlefield or basically anything Respawn's working on, you are 100% safe. You are good to go. No worries. Because those games print money. Like EA have their very own money printing machine, right? Now, when it comes to the other studios, actually, before I get into what I'm going into, because I'm going to be talking for a while, no change there. Logan, what was your initial take on this whole situation? Because some people are clearly panicked.
Well, this is it's a big deal. Like, being frank, it is. Like, anytime you get massive groups come together, um like, apparently it's like a leveraged buyout between a group from overseas and a group, I believe, from here in the States as well, if I'm not mistaken. I might have misread it, but it's a leveraged buyout nonetheless to go private for like 55 billion or so, like,
Yep, yep.
astronomical number. And obviously EA is one of the largest publishers in the world for a reason. And, call him hero, villain, savior, conqueror, Revan. Basically, whatever you want to call him. Like, how they've done things. They go through this cycle of good EA, bad EA, meh EA. They're a roller coaster. But yeah, like you said, they're sport games. Like, no matter what else you say about EA, those things are guaranteed day and date bank. You will get so many people in the door, no matter what platform you're on or what team you like, because somebody likes sports and somebody will like a team that is in one of these leagues, and one of these leagues gets a game, and you will play it and you will like it, and then they will give you a new one every year with, refreshed teams, draft picks, all this stuff. And it's an easy money printing machine, the sports games, 100%. I agree. I think those companies, you know, they are the safest individuals in the world, probably right now. Those people, and I would say Respawn with the Star Wars games, because Disney is a big and powerful entity, and Star Wars is in their mandate, and they have a deal. They're gonna finish that. They're gonna see that through for Jedi Survivor sequel, and the other Star Wars game that's in the Clone Wars, and maybe that other one, if they have another one, I think that's in works as well. And so those, I think, are 100% safe. I reckon Battlefield's safe. Less confident in that one, but still reckon it's safe. And then you get to our dear old friends at BioWare, and uh, it's not feeling so good right now. It's a little hot in there, I'd say. Um, because if you didn't think the pressure was on for Mass Effect before, buddy,
Ooh.
I got 55 billion reasons to tell you the pressure's on now. So yeah, Godspeed to BioWare. I hope they do it. I hope they do well. And I like to think that there can be positive from this. I'm an eternal optimist. So I'm gonna assume the best and say that they come in, it gets rid of the public shareholders, always looking over their shoulders, and instead it's like they're private, they no longer have to worry about that. Instead, they just have to make sure these folks are happy. So, if they show a good product and make them happy, everything should be great. And I'm going to hope for that. But I do think that of the standings in the company, BioWare would be at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, the Saudi government's paying for a lot of different things in the entertainment sector. So, like WrestleMania, 2027, it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. Originally, it was going to be in the US, I think in Louisiana, and then it was switched to Las Vegas. Then they put it off to a different year. Now it's in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia gets a lot of boxing content now. Football is like growing massive over there due to their spending, and like the gaming sector is like another thing that's happening. Um, and like I completely see like why people at Bioware would be worried, because look, like we're saying, sports. If you're a sports game, Star Wars or Battlefield, you're good. And by the way, I think the Iron Man game is 100% safe. That game's been in development for over 3 years now, I would be shocked if that doesn't come out by May. 100%
Yeah,
sure.
they're under Disney's protection, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so and like EA paid a lot for that license, so like Iron Man, I 100% think safe. Apparently EA are also working on a different Marvel game outside of Iron Man as well, so we'll see whatever happens there. But like if you are BioWare, you got to be worried, right? Because like all eyes have been on Mass Effect since they announced it. Like, look, I complain, shocker, about Mass Effect a lot, but the truth is, I'm in love with that IP, right? I adore that universe. I adore that universe. I could talk about it all day, right? But when Andromeda came out, about a month after launch, EA put out a press release saying, "Look, the franchise is going into hiatus, right?" And I've mentioned this before. That happened on my birthday, right? I will never get over this, and I will bring it up at every opportunity because I was shooketh. EA announced that on my birthday. I was absolutely heartbroken because we had went 5 years without anything Mass Effect at that point. And then in 2021, we get told we're going to have a Mass Effect Trilogy remaster. Not only that, we are also getting a new Mass Effect game, and they did the tease with Lara at the end. My space wife. And like Mass Effect's back, baby. Everyone's all happy, right? The problem with that is that ever since there's been this like weird turmoil in the Mass Effect community online. You know, people want the new game to follow Andromeda, the game that almost ended the franchise, rather than continue from the trilogy, right? So while people are all arguing about this stuff online, some people are calling it Mass Effect 5, whereas people like me are calling it Mass Effect 4. And in the meantime, you know, BioWare and EA are getting bought up by a company, by a government that's likely to shut them down, right? So I think one of 5 things is going to happen to BioWare. And by the way, I don't think anything outside of these 5 things will happen. I 100% believe one of these is going to happen. Number 1, nothing will happen at all. Nothing will change. That's option 1. Not looking likely for that one, I'm guessing. Option 2, BioWare is shut down and nothing happens with Mass Effect. Nothing happens with Dragon Age. Done. Option 3, they are BioWare and EA, they are told what they can and can't have in their games going forward. They have to completely change things in them. And they have to might even change genres. I think that if you, like the owners of BioWare, you don't want one Mass Effect game a decade now. You want to get one Mass Effect game out every 3 years. So I think they will change. I actually believe this. I think Saudi will tell them they want to change Mass Effect from being more of an RPG to more of an action adventure that they can pump out more often, right? And obviously change certain themes and stuff. And then there's the final option where I think that BioWare and its related IPs will be sold off. So it's a bit of a tricky situation for them. Now, I do think EA and BioWare, so I do think BioWare will be shut down in the next year, right? I don't think they're going to give Mass Effect a chance because, you know, the themes in that game alone. And I think, you know, considering what these companies are like, they like to hold on to IP. They don't like to sell them because, like, look, what if, let's say I buy BioWare off EA, right? And I say, hey, this is how you're going to make this game, and it sells like 40 million copies. It generates $6 billion in revenue, right? It's one of the biggest games I've ever made, right? Do you know how angry people at EA would be if that happened? So companies will hold on to IP, right, that they have no intention of doing anything with, right? We see it all the time. You know, all these companies do this, and it's unfortunate. So I think that is one of the outcomes we'll see. The, you know, heavily modifying BioWare thing, I think if they want that to happen. I think a lot of people from BioWare in the year will step away from the company. They will quit because you're fundamentally changing what the game is. Now, the whole being sold off thing. Now, this is how nerdy I am. I've gone over every single publisher and what's realistic, what's unrealistic. Let's get the unrealistic ones out of the way, right? 2K. I can't see 2K buying an RPG developer. I just can't. They have their big mega titles, such as, Mafia, Grand Theft Auto, Borderlands, some of the Lego games, the wrestling games, their NBA 2K. And by the way, isn't 2K coming out with an American football game?
I don't know about that. EA pretty much has a stranglehold on that, but they might be, but not to my knowledge.
Okay, well, they might be making another American sports game, which is going to generate billions of dollars. So I don't see 2K doing it. Nintendo's not going to purchase BioWare, not in a million years. Sony, I don't think Sony would, because they are more invested in the single player linear experiences, linear open world experiences in their live service division. They are growing their live services faster than they've ever done before. They want to get more live service games out, and they're still going to pump out things like, Ghost of Yotei, Wolverine, all that stuff. So I can't see them. Ubisoft would be the big worry, right? Because, well, Ubisoft has the cash. They are also at risk of being bought by a Saudi Arabian company or government. So I can't see that happening. And if they did, do we really want Mass Effect to turn into an open world experience that comes out every other year? Not really. I know I don't. If I ever play a Mass Effect game where I have to go to certain towers to unlock parts of the map, you'll never hear the end of it from me, ever. But I don't think that'll happen. Embracer, not happening. Not happening. If you were to go back 4 or 5 years ago, actually, I would have said they would have been the most likely, because they were buying up studios constantly, buying up IP, and we're seeing what's happened since. So I think there's one of two things that's going to happen. If they do go on sale, you're going to see a smaller company buy them, and there will be an independent developer, and their games will be published by Focus Entertainment. Because Focus Entertainment, they publish all kinds of games. AA, indie, AAA. I think they could be a Focus Entertainment affiliated studio. And obviously, people are waiting for me to say it, so I'll say it. Microsoft. Now, whenever I talk about Microsoft buying anyone or any new Microsoft game that's in development, I always get the reply, but they'll shut them down. Do you know what Microsoft shuts down? Developers that don't put out games, right? Perfect Dark. I was looking forward towards Perfect Dark. Clearly, I made videos about it. I made podcasts about it. Clearly excited for it. But if you're a developer, you have hundreds of people that don't put out a game in 5 years, and there's no revenue coming from that studio, that's why studios get shut down, right? It's unfortunate. I would have loved Perfect Dark, but it is what it is. I think Microsoft is kind of very likely to be the ones that would buy them. The outlier would be Amazon Game Studios. Amazon put games everywhere. They do have some big games in development, but I can't see them buying another big game developer, especially the size of BioWare. So I think realistically, it's either going to be a private firm that publishes their games via Focus Entertainment or Microsoft. Clearly, I've thought about this. And look, Microsoft, they aren't perfect, but they clearly are heavily invested in RPGs. If you look at all their games coming out, most of them are single player. They have a bunch of RPGs in the works. And if you're someone like Microsoft and you could get a Mass Effect 4 or a Dragon Age collection, right, launching your service, that's marketable material. Because we don't see Game Pass trailers on TV saying, hey, Age of Mythology, get Game Pass now. That's not really what they do. They have the big names. They have the Doom guy. They have Master Chief, right? They have Gears of War in there. Forza, right? If you could have Mass Effect in there and Dragon Age, And by the way, I think Dragon Age going forward will only happen under Microsoft. So that's what I've been thinking. I could be blowing smoke out me, behind, but that's what. Like, Logan, what do you think? Do I sound like I'm on something? Do I have? I don't know. What do you think?
You have some good points. I agree with several of them. There are some I'd add or differ on. Um, like I'll throw a wild card out there that they have just started to buy up studios and publishers and resurrect some companies and IP. I'd throw Atari out there as one to watch because they recently just we talked about games being like sat on for ages and nobody doing anything with IPs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like recently they just bought a handful of IPs from Ubisoft, including Cold Fear. They've got Bubsy. Like they're starting to like resurrect some things and put them out on modern platforms. They own Night Dive and Digital Eclipse. They're both like two of the best in the world at remasters and remakes. Who better to do a hypothetical Dragon Age collection, which desperately needs one, or a a Jade Empire or remaster remake, or some of these, or Knights of the Old Republic 1, 2. I know there's the one that's theoretically on life support out there somewhere, but like in addition to that, some Knights of the Old Republic stuff. It they just seem like a wild card to me that I would throw into the ring. Um, Sony to me makes sense in some regards because they've got, their third person games. Their live service, to be frank, has been a colossal failure, except for Helldivers 2. So they could definitely use an RPG studio, and they at least quasi make sense to me. Microsoft is the top one, and I'll get to them. But like those, or like you said a few years ago, I would have said Embracer. They would have made sense, but they've been hemorrhaging money like crazy. So it doesn't seem like a good idea to buy yet another studio and IPs to manage. So I mean, Valve has occasionally stepped in and bought a studio or two. Back in the day, they bought the studio that did like Firefall and a few other games. Like, so they have an eclectic eye for talent. So maybe Gabe would be interested. Just an idea. But to me, Microsoft makes the most sense for a whole variety of reasons. Culturally, they make sense. Historically, they make sense. They have a relationship to the OG Xbox, Jade Empire, OG exclusive. They had Massive
Oh, I think Logan.
Effects
There you go.
with. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they've worked all the way from Jade Empire, Mass Effect, the Dragon Age games, Knights of the Old Republic, obviously, like their iconic masterpiece on the OG Xbox. And so, like, there's clear relationship. Once upon a time, there was a lot of smoke or um, rumors or whatever that they were potentially going to get them at some point. Like, back way 360 era type timeline. But then EA bought them and stuff like that. So maybe they can right that wrong and actually buy them now and add them to the Infinity Gauntlet that is their RPG collection. Basically, like if you look at all the RPG, masters out there, they have most of the Western RPG studios that like are considered cream of the crop. Not all, like they don't have Larian, but they have most of them. If you add BioWare to that, legacy wise, like BioWare today is not BioWare of early 2000s or, even Xbox One launch. but it means something, the name. So to me, Microsoft would be the best option. And if they can't sell them off, and it's just like, all right, we're just gonna shut them down, then you know that would really suck. But I would hope that somebody could get their hands on the IP and buy IPs from them. Like you said, companies don't like to give those out very much. Oh, one other company, I think Amazon, you had mentioned
Yeah,
briefly. Don't they have the rights to the movie? Aren't they in show? Aren't they doing a Mass Effect show and stuff anyway?
yeah, they're doing the
Or
TV
maybe
show.
they would have yet have specific interest in keeping them alive, you know?
Yeah,
It would be kind of awkward for the studio and the game to just, you know, go to the graveyard while you're trying to make a show based on that. That would kind of be a buzzkill. So maybe throw them as there, but I think best option is Microsoft gets them, or they just stay put and everything goes along hunky dory. Well, I mean, ideally, best scenario is everything stays the same. They're okay. They stay as is with their friends, with the business they're used to. Everything continues along. But if they were to have something else happen, I think being sold off to Microsoft would be the best option.
yeah. And the the reason I didn't mention Warner Brothers games is because I don't really see Warner Brothers buying any more studios at all. You know, Warner Brothers
They're
is
consolidating their
yeah, yeah.
focus on
I mean, hell, there's been rumors that they're going to sell off their studios. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
exactly.
Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen there? But man, it's just a shame because I feel like something is definitely going to happen, and I don't like this feeling. Um, I think that we will find out something at least by Christmas, because like the buyout basically lumped the Saudi government with $20 billion worth of debt. How are they going to clear that up? Because the sports games obviously going to print money, but man, like the return on investment for let's say Mass Effect 4, I can't even imagine what that's going to be. Like that's going to be at least a $200 million game, and let's say it comes out 2029. That's when I think it does come out, 2029. Um, man, that's hundreds of millions of dollars, and that has to be a sure thing straight away. That has to be a huge success out of the gate. It can't have any controversies. It can't have any boycotts. It has to have a pristine launch. It has to have like this. It's gonna have like Half-Life 3 style weight on its shoulders, right? It's gonna have to launch like this is like Mass Effect 2, but maybe better. Like how do you even like cope with that kind of stress? I can't even imagine. But man, like I was saying before, like respawn's fine. Respawn's perfectly fine. I can't see why you'd get rid of respawn. Um, and look, Battlefield's going to be a huge success. That's going to print money. I don't know what the long term roadmap is for that game because we're so used to battle passes and stuff. But if you look at the roadmap for Battlefield, it doesn't look that interesting. You're gonna get one new map. It looks like you're gonna get two new maps by the end of the year, and some game modes. Like, but I'm sure they'll be. I'm sure they'll be successful. Um, EA have to pay the debt, and not Saudi. Okay. Um, but either way, like I have this really bad feeling about something's gonna happen with BioWare. Um, like even if they gut the studio and change things in the game, I still think that'll lead to the game being shut down because there's hundreds of staff working on, Mass Effect. But it's going to be scary over there for them, I can imagine. But and people will listen to this and they'll. By the way, for people that will re-listen or listen later, and you just seem to be tuning in now, when the podcast is finally done and rendered, I'll cut out the first 10 minutes when I'm when the audio's all messed up. Just thought I'd put that out there. My God, that must have been a horrible audio experience. But anyway, like Mass Effect, it's on thin ice, and that's terrifying to say, right? As someone that's obsessed with the franchise trilogy, it's scary. I'm not gonna lie. I love gaming. Like people might think I might be a bit of a pessimist sometimes, but I'm a positive guy. I love the games that's coming out. Like I've been asked before, like, do I still get excited about video games? Because I cover video games on YouTube. I do video games on Twitter. Like, do I still get excited about video games? I had to really think about it. And there was one game that was announced this year, a brand new game, that caught me off guard so much to the point where I had a smile on my face and I was actively, like, really excited for it. And that was called The Expanse Osiris Reborn. It was a game that didn't leak. There was no talk about it beforehand. No one had ever asked for a Mass Effect style Expanse game, and it's happening, right? So I'm clearly still excited about video games, but it's just stuff like this that just really puts a down on the situation. I live in the UK. It's falling apart over here. So like gaming is my little escape. However, like if Mass Effect is at at the peril of a country that is likely to disband it, yeah, I'm worried. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty worried. Microsoft, they seem like the best fit. That's the best way to put it. Like you said, Amazon, they have deep pockets. They have really deep pockets. Would they want to launch an Amazon made show for Mass Effect if there's no games going forward? I can't see that being the case, because there's a lot of money. This TV show is going to cost tens of millions of dollars per episode, right? So I can't even imagine the budget for it. The popularity of the show, if it's good, is going to lead people to get into the games. Look what happened with Fallout, right? Fallout 4 became #1 in Europe, all the way around Europe, because of a TV show, a 9-year-old game, right? So that's the power a good TV show can have. And we'll just see what happens. But yeah, BioWare, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. If the bonus side is that if we do hear about them being sold off with the IP, that means there's a chance. So, like, look, people can say he's an Xbox fanboy. He wants like Microsoft to buy them. It's like, no, Microsoft have worked with BioWare in the past. Like Logan said, multiple titles launched under Microsoft. Hell, when EA bought BioWare, didn't Steve Ballmer throw a chair across the room? Or was that Bungie?
I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Well, apparently, like people up top at Microsoft were angry when BioWare was bought out. And look, when BioWare was bought by EA and Mass Effect 2 came out, even though I think Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games of all time, I'm not saying that as a fanboy of Mass Effect. Like, it is legitimately one of the best made games ever made. And when that game was about to come out, people were worried. People were worried that, it's going to have less RPG elements, and it did, because they weren't under Microsoft and they were under the shooter, the shooter company. Like, that wasn't the case, right? Yeah, there were less RPG aspects, but when the game came out, it was spectacular, right? And then with Mass Effect 3, like, look, for people that don't remember, Mass Effect 3 was announced the same year Mass Effect 2 came out. Like, really think about that. Mass Effect 2 came out in, I think it was the 25th of January, 2010. And the trailer for Mass Effect 3 came out in December. Do you know how crazy that is? We got Mass Effect 3 in 2 years. Like, look, can you think of how crazy that is, considering how long games take to make now, that happened?
Yeah, that's insanity. That reminds me of back when on the OG, like Knights of the Old Republic came out in '03, and then Sith Lords came out in '04 or '05.
Yeah.
So like massively quick turnaround. So it was a different era, different time, and way more efficiency and less complications than there are today. But it's just another one of those. I wish we could roll back on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you go back to then, people were saying like, "Oh, is EA rushing the studio?" Turns out that was kind of the case. They had the multiplayer mode, and even though I glazed that multiplayer mode on a bi-daily basis because it was absolutely amazing, um, people were worried. Like, did they put in a multiplayer shooter mode in an RPG because EA wanted to get microtransactions money? And by the way, for people that never played Mass Effect 3, the microtransactions in that game were literally fair. Never played a game like it since. Um, so like there's always been this worry that EA has been pushing BioWare to do live service stuff. Like look at Anthem, right? Anthem live service. It was basically chasing Destiny. It was trying to be Destiny. Oh, we have a 10-year plan. No, you didn't. You didn't even turn off the Christmas lights, right? I'll never get over that. But like BioWare has always been pushed into doing some sort of live service elements. They put in multiplayer mode in Dragon Age Inquisition. Who asked for that? Mass Effect Andromeda was made in 18 months by the C team, right? It's all over the place, right? And you have BioWare, one of the best RPG developers in the world, and it's like they've been under a pretty bad company, kind of, for over a decade, right? Maybe this needed to happen. Am I coping? Maybe. It might sound that way. But yeah, I do think we will find out by Christmas what's happening with that studio because, woof. I mean, N7 Day is a month away. And, why do games take so long to make now? Like, it's graphical fidelity, man. I do want to have a full live stream where I just completely like talk about this for like an hour and a half or something. Like I reminisce about the seventh generation, not because I had games like Dead Space and Mass Effect and Bioshock and stuff, which is that was a bloody good generation. But if you played a game on the seventh generation of consoles, be it Xbox, PlayStation, or Wii, or PC, right? You knew that if that game was successful and it made money, you were not going to get just a sequel that generation. You were going to get probably a whole trilogy. Like, those were some good days, right? But what happened that generation? All these developers were making games with unique art styles. They took the graphical fidelity of those, consoles and what they were capable of in making things look unique, right? If you fire up Bioshock today, it still looks good. Still looks good. You fire up Batman Arkham Asylum, still looks good. Uncharted, still looks good. Gears of War, still looks good, right? So like there wasn't this overly focused narrative push on graphical fidelity. Now you have millions of polygons for each character you see on screen. You have characters with realistic looking skin. You have eyes that don't look like they're made out of glass anymore, right? You have eyelashes that move individually from each other, right? Everything you see on screen in modern games in this started last generation is pushing basically, hey, look, we have next gen. The thing we're pushing is more realistic graphics. Every time we see a new game announced using Unreal Engine 5, what's it doing? Super realistic graphics, right? That's why these games are taking so long, right? That wasn't the case 15 years ago, where a developer could say, you know what, I want to come up with a narrative-based third-person shooter RPG, and yeah, Commander Shepard clearly looks like a human, but he doesn't look like a real person, look at Uncharted, right? Uncharted, those games look amazing. They don't look like real people, but they weren't trying to be, and that's the problem with game development now, is that we're all telling ourselves subconsciously that we want to see the best looking games with the most realistic graphics. And even though if we don't think we do, every time a fancy looking game's showing off, people get excited, people talk about it, and it's trending on Twitter, it's trending on YouTube, right? Look when Grand Theft Auto 6 had its last trailer. right? People were losing their marbles over graphical fidelity. And I do think it is that simple because look at let's take a random open world game that came out this year. Logan, name me a random open world game that came out this year. It could be anything.
Saints Row.
That came out like 3 years ago, but we'll use that, right? So Saints Row, open world game, not much bigger than Saints Row 2 or 3, but City was around the same size, right? They were pushing global illumination in that game. They were pushing more realistic looking skin. The characters you see on screen literally have more polygons. We have games now, right, where characters of people we play as have more polygons on them than entire games had, right? Like, really think about that. Like, some individual game characters have, like, the entire polygon count of Halo 1. Crazy, right? And it's just like, that's why, you know? Yes, the engines could do with better tools so they can make games faster, but, like, as long as we want more games to look more and more realistic every single time we see a new game, that's why. That's why, back in the 7th gen, we had 3 Mass Effect games that generation. We technically had 3 Dragon Age games because Inquisition was a last gen game, or I should say a 7th gen game as well. We had a bunch of Tomb Raider games. We had Battlefield at its peak, and it looked realistic because of what they were doing with the shaders and the lighting, and they had film grain in that game. And even though I hate film grain, it worked in Battlefield 3. Dead Space, I wasn't trying to be realistic. But guess what? When you play Callisto Protocol, I think Callisto Protocol is one of the best looking games ever made. Beautiful. But that game cost $150 million to make. Motion capture, photorealistic visuals, and we've seen that across the board in the industry. And, you know, it doesn't help companies like BioWare. But look, do I think BioWare needs to make a super realistic looking RPG? No. I'd be fine if it looked like Mass Effect 3 in Legendary Edition. The problem is, that's not going to happen because that's less marketable these days. If they come out and say, hey, check out this game, Mass Effect 4, it's everything you wanted, but it looks like a game that came out in 2012, right? That isn't going to fly. People want people want the best of the best all the time. Whenever I post gameplay or say what game has 4K or what game has 60, do you know what replies I get? Oh, it may be 60 frames, but I want 4K as well. And if I'm posting about a 4K game, I get, but I want 60 frames per second as well. Gamers want it all. And this just leads developers putting more time and effort into games, and games may end up looking super realistic. Like, look at these compilations you see on Twitter and YouTube of people comparing grass and water physics in different games, right? Nobody should really care, right? Nobody should care if Ghost of I can't pronounce that game, by the way. Ghost of Yotai. No one should care whether the grass in that game moves differently to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Nobody should care. But people are doing it anyway. People have this obsession with graphics, and developers clearly see it because every time we hear about a new game pushing tech, it's always about realistic features, right? Pushing realism to its absolute limits. And, you know, when you look at BioWare, they're paying attention to all this stuff. Even people from BioWare have said, look, yes, Mass Effect is going to be a more realistic tone compared to the saturated nature of the Veilguard for Dragon Age, right? It's going to be more realistic as well. The people who were hiring were people that work with Unreal Engine making realistic character models. So, it is what it is. I mean, I can't change anything. If it was up to me, and it's not, like, I would say, hey, developers, go back to making games like how they used to look in the 7th generation. Obviously, but have them 4K now, right? I would be perfectly happy because I came to realize that graphics mean diddly squat, right? It doesn't matter. Why do I post about 360 games all the time? Is it because they look better? Not necessarily. It's because they play good still, right? I don't care about graphics at this point, right? Have a cool art style. Like, look at Borderlands, right? Borderlands 4, it looks amazing. That cel-shaded art style. But if you fire up Borderlands 1, it still looks really good. Really good. Borderlands 2, really good. There's not a single Borderlands game that looks bad, even if you fire it up on an old console. Hell, you can fire up Borderlands. Is it Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation Vita? Like, and it still looks good because it's a unique art style. But that's me rambling about Bio. Look, Logan, I've been talking for like 20 minutes. Like, what's your take? Like, obviously, we're moving on to the different topics because BioWare's been the long one. But have you got anything else to say on the whole thing?
I hope BioWare sticks around because once upon a time they were my favorite studio. Like, they made one of my favorite games of all time, and not just favorite games, but favorite stories of all time in all of Star Wars with Knights of the Old Republic. Jade Empire was incredible. I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I think that EA frankly set the bar. BioWare set the bar for how to do a RPG trilogy with that, frankly, of connecting all the stories and the actions and all the things from the first one carried all the way through the trilogy. And it felt like this was all connected experience and was just like, yes, it was my Mass Effect universe. And like, they just they were so great and so awesome at their peak, and I don't know. I Part of me wonders if they've culturally changed so much over time, and that's not even trying to invite issues or whatever. That's just saying, people come and go, different people come in, different things, take place, they shift focus or values or whatever. It just it it's just not the BioWare I grew up with, and that's okay. But I hope they keep on. I hope they can rekindle that magic, that BioWare magic, and make an awesome Mass Effect 4. Like, I'm with you. I call it Mass Effect 4. I am not in
Good man.
this, Mass Effect 5 camp, whatever that is. Even if there's only a dozen of us, I'm with you on that one. Mass Effect 4. And just I want them to succeed. If BioWare can't succeed there, then I hope they're allowed to go elsewhere. And if they're not allowed to go elsewhere and BioWare's not allowed to just continue, then I hope the IP at least gets used by somebody. Because the worlds they created are phenomenal and some of the best that have ever been made. And they deserve good.
Yeah. I have to read this comment by Shizno. He says, I love pretty graphics, but in my opinion, a game like Persona or Metaphor looks just as good as Last of Us and Callisto. And that's the frame of mind I like to have, right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Or Wind Waker,
yeah.
or
Like, Wind Waker came out in what, 2004? Something like that, right? It was like 2004, 2003.
Mhm.
That game still, to me, looks like one of the best looking games ever made, right? It is like pixel perfect. It looks like an anime, like a cartoon or whatever, right? Persona. Is it Persona 3 remake? Yeah, but the Persona 3 remake. That game, it's stunning. It looks like an anime. Metaphor, like outside of the animated cutscenes, it looks like a anime which you control, right? And it's just something I'd like to see more of. I'd like to see more of a stylized look in games. Look at Gears of War, right? One
Like
through three.
Hi-Fi Rush, Beautiful
Yeah,
Joe,
yeah,
Okami, there's all those.
yeah. Hi-Fi Rush. Look at the Gears of War trilogy, the original trilogy. Like, you had these like huge, like muscly dudes that clearly I don't think the human body could actually support people that that look like that. But it's a very
So
characterized.
much creatine, bro.
Yeah, too much creatine, and I have been watching bodybuilding lately, so maybe that's why. But you know what? I like the stylized look of those games. Like I was saying, Arkham Asylum, beautiful game. Still looks good if you fire up the 360 version, but I will. Well, hopefully things will change. By the way, we're now in 20 minutes in. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. It does help with the algorithm. If you want anything read out, super chats are really support it. It helps the channel going forward. Anyway, let's see what we've got next, because we still have a bunch of topics which are in the title. Tokyo Game Show happened, right? One of the biggest events of the year almost didn't make it because there's so much happened this week. So Xbox had their Tokyo Game Show event. There was some really cool games announced there. There was some follow-ups from games that were announced last year, such as Threads of Time, which is this 2.5D. Let's call it HD 2D because that's the kind of style it is. JRPG set in different eras, so you're going to have a cyberpunk era, you're going to have a steampunk era, and all these stories interconnect with each other in different time periods. Really cool concept for a game. It doesn't have a release date, but I'm just guessing that's coming out next year. Ninja Gaiden 4 got a brand new story trailer. Looks really good. Flight Simulator 2024 is getting a Japan World update. Very nice. I've flown over Japan a few times in Flight Simulator. A lot of the buildings are flat, so every time they do this, it basically helps, a lot of cities and, in that country look way better, which is nice. Let's see what else they had. Fallout 76 camp revamp update. Call of Duty Japan set multiplayer maps. There's some smaller JRPGs announced at the show, such as this isn't a JRPG, but was announced at the show called Terminal Brigade. It's a third-person free-to-play shooter. Blueprints, all that stuff was announced there. Oh no, Blueprints is already out, but they showed it there anyway for some reason. But the big game, Forza Horizon 6 Japan, finally announced. Bloody hell. It only took us, 15 years since the first game. Man, about time. It was so nice because, we do have this little leak every year. I'm doing leak with air quotes, but it's always just some made-up thing on Reddit. And to have it finally announced, it's just finally, we're going to have, cities, big neon-lit cities in the game. And they mentioned that in the interview. They're going to have big cities that you can drive through. They're going to have the Japanese countryside. You're going to have Mount Fuji you can race around. Like, if you look at the best one to use as a description, and they used it as well, is Forza Horizon 4, where they kind of got the entirety of the United Kingdom and squished it into this tiny map, where you have basically the bottom of Scotland, you have Edinburgh, all the way going down to London, and it just works. It looks like they go on that route with Japan in this game, so you're not just going to have Tokyo, you're going to have other cities as well. Finally, it was just nice to have it announced there. I can't wait for it. Logan, I know you want to talk about this because it's been such a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for Forza Horizon 6. Finally, we get Tokyo, and it's something that people have wanted for ages. Like, I actually saw, I believe earlier today there was an old excerpt from an interview where Matt Booty and Phil Spencer have both said that apparently Japan was the number one requested location for a Forza Horizon game since the very first one on the 360.
Yep.
So it's been a long time coming because I'm ever since I made a Twitter account, I've seen people like make mock-ups with cherry blossom trees and a Japanese car on the front and saying, "Oh, it's going to Tokyo," and then it just never did until now. And I know it was kind of like a mild teaser the way they did it, but I think that can be forgiven for the fact that it is. They wanted to show it off and announce it in the place it's located. That just makes total sense to me. Too, instead of having it as a footnote in E3 equivalent, do it at the Tokyo Game Show. And yep, how about that skyline, Jamie? It perfect. Chef's kiss. They did a good job.
Yeah, like you said, we've seen that the fan art of the cherry blossoms. People have been doing that fan art for a very long time. Even before the whole AI art thing was a thing. Like, I remember being on the forums back when the first game came out. People were saying, we need Japan. We absolutely need Japan for this. And it's finally happening. Like you said, the trailer didn't really show anything. It just, it showed you some Japanese stuff. But It's happening. And just think, how crazy they've got in the past with expansions, where, the British one, they had Lego and I think, what was the other expansion for 4? Was it the snow expansion?
Yeah, there's been a snow expansion. There was like a Treasure Island one for one of the Horizons. There was Lego, and I can't remember, but I mean, if they wanted to do an expansion for this, I know Hong Kong and Japan are vastly different, but just saying, if they wanted to keep on with the whole neon cyberpunky looking vibes, kind of like with Tokyo and stuff, they could totally do like a Hong Kong expansion or something. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean they could do anything. I, I, I can only imagine what the radio is going to be like in that game. It's going to be a lot of
Oh, it's gonna
J-pop.
be insane.
Yeah, J-pop, synthwave. I'm there for it. Put K-pop in there as well. Why not? Um, but yeah, finally announced. Obviously, we'll talk about it more when we actually get some footage. I do think we will get footage for it at the what do you call it? The January Directs, because they have had one, what, 4 years in a row now. But yeah, and drifting mechanics, right? If it has to have drifting mechanics, because over in Japan, drifting and what do you call it? Oh my god, drag racing, right?
They're
Drag racing,
tuner cars. Yeah.
yeah, super huge over there. So we'll see. Like it's Forza, it's playground games. I'm sure they know what they're doing when it comes to interesting gameplay and mechanics. And I think drifting was really good in Forza Horizon 5, but it is what it is. And by the way, some people were freaking out because it was only announced for Xbox and PlayStation. If you go back at what Phil Spencer said, he never said everything was launching everywhere all at once. By the way, isn't that the name of a film? Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, it's a good film, by the way. People should watch that. But Phil Spencer never said everything's launching everywhere. But, I'm sure Forza always does well on Xbox, right? I live in the UK. Racing games always do really well. Forza Horizon's huge here. It's huge in the US, huge across Europe. So, yeah. Japan, finally. Now, before the show went live last week, we did get the final release date for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is going to be January the 26th, I believe. It's going to be late January. Bloody finally. That game, I feel sorry for people that follow me on Twitter, because that's all you're going to see for like a month is just screenshots and clips. I'm kidding, I'm not sorry. It's going to happen anyway. And you know what? Pyro reminded me in chat, the Yakuza developer, RGG Studios, they had their own showcase over Tokyo Game Show, where a bunch of stuff was announced and are coming to Xbox. So, I'm going to try and not mess this up. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, which was exclusive to Switch at launch, the Switch 2, for like 2 months. It's coming to Xbox in December. And for people that don't know, it's basically Yakuza 0, 4K 60, all the bells and whistles. It's got like extra like outfits and stuff, but it's got English voice acting. Now, for people that can remember, that first game, Yakuza 0, I shall say that 0 game, but whatever we want to call it, that game, when it came to Xbox, I played it, and I played for about 42 hours, and I lost all of my progress. Right? I lost all my progress. I went into a bad mood, and I never went back to it, right? Well, now I have a big incentive to. So I will be getting back to Yakuza 0 with that game. It is a completely new version, so there's no upgrades, unfortunately, but Sega's kind of been like that with some of their remasters. Yakuza Kiwami 3 is coming to Xbox as well, and I think that comes out in March. I'll have to double check, but it comes out early next year. And Stranger Than Heaven, the brand new IP by them, got an update from behind the scenes stuff. All in all, if you like Yakuza and you like that studio's games, you've got a bunch of cool things coming. Logan, what do you think? Because I don't know if you watched their summit, but it was on for a while. It was on at like 4 in the morning here. Um, but there's more Yakuza games coming.
Hey, that's good news. I haven't played much of the Yakuza games. I have Like a Dragon, but I haven't played the other ones. I have interest in them down the road. And that spin-off one that was the other IP. What was it again? It was
Oh, Stranger Than Heaven.
like yes, that one. That one in particular caught my eye. I really like the vibes with that one. So that would probably take priority for me, but I'm just glad to see more games from that part of the world and those developers coming to Xbox. It's great news.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to find more about Stranger Than Heaven in the future. I do think that is an next gen game. Like they haven't mentioned
Wouldn't shock me.
yeah, they haven't mentioned platforms at all. But that footage they showed off a while ago, where it's all raining and there's like hundreds of people in the streets, that just screams like that's going to be a next gen game to me. But we'll see what happens. I mean, considering how well the Switch is doing in these PC handhelds, maybe they'll end up being on everything. I mean, hell, GTA 6 is coming to these consoles, so who knows? You know what? Let's move on because we still have literally like 10 topics left. So, Logan, you want to talk about Play Anywhere because over the past several weeks, especially, there's been an uptick in third party developers going back and adding Xbox Play Anywhere to a bunch of their games. First party games all have them, but Play Anywhere, even though it's been around since 2016, it's really taken off, and I know you want to talk about it.
I thought it was an important topic, especially because it'll bleed into one of our other topics, which is the Ally device. But essentially, for those if you've been living under a rock or just don't know, Play Anywhere is an initiative they announced like, gosh, was it 15 or 16, maybe 17? It's been a long time ago. But basically, when they first started doing their PC ports of games, they started a program called Play Anywhere, which made it to where some developers could opt in and make it to where if you bought one version of the game, you got the other version too. Not to be confused with Smart Delivery. Play Anywhere is like I buy an Xbox version and I also get the digital right to a PC version, or vice versa. Some companies have been resistant to that over time, and some have embraced it a lot. And it's different than smart delivery, which is where there's the last gen consoles like Xbox One and One X and S, and then the Xbox Series X and S, and they make a game and they'll upscale it and certain features and stuff for the Series X and S versions, and then other like whatever they can do with the last gen, you can get on that console. But you can still, if you buy one and then you upgrade the console later, then poof, they'll upgrade your game. Free remaster essentially. So, Play Anywhere has been awesome as well. And for some reason, there's still some first party games missing
Yeah.
that are kind of head scratching, but I hope they get around to adding them. I think one of the Doom games is still missing. Like, I can't remember if Doom Eternal is Play Anywhere or not, but I know one of the Dooms, I think, had an issue with Play Anywhere. Point. But there were several first party games still missing, but a lot of people were under the impression that if a game didn't launch with Play Anywhere, that it just was too bad, so sad that that ship has sailed. You're just you're not gonna get that one. Move on to the next thing. Today, the news broke that Harry Potter, um, Hogwarts Legacy was added to Play Anywhere, and
Huge.
it came out 2 years and 7 months ago. Can you believe it's been that long? 2 years, 7 months.
Time's flying, unfortunately.
Um, but yeah, what?
Yeah, I'm just saying time's flying,
Can you hear me?
unfortunately. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Um, but yeah, so it shows that games can be added retroactively. I know that Ready or Not, that basically Rainbow Six Vegas type game was added after launch. And from my understanding and from now, clearly seeing evidence, games can be added retroactively. So for all you who had given up on some games coming and being added or going to be available on your Ally or PC, you know what? Recharge those war fronts and go back and ask these developers again, nicely and politely, but say like, "Hey, we would really like to play this on an Ally or a PC as well, and we support your games, and it would make me more likely to buy your games if it has Play Anywhere than if it doesn't." To me, it's not a deal breaker if it doesn't have Play Anywhere, but it is definitely a tiebreaker if it does. Like if I'm considering several games and one is Play Anywhere versus some other ones aren't, and they're pretty much equal footing to me, I'll go for the one that has Play Anywhere because I'll be able to play it on my other devices as well. And thankfully, it seems that indie developers have open armed, overwhelmingly supported the feature. Like so many indies that are coming out support Play Anywhere. And just like we talked about, indies kind of taking the mantle from AAA as like the primary focus of the gaming industry and what I've been playing lately, indies are kicking AAA's hide in that regard. And aside from indies, the best company support I've seen so far has been from Japanese companies, actually,
Yeah, yeah,
from the AAA standpoint for Play Anywhere, which makes total sense because they're in crowded, utopias. They've got small spaces, apartments, you know, portable devices. Um, Cloud is big over there. It makes total sense that they would go all in on Play Anywhere to where it's like you can play it on any device you have. That way, you're on the tram or you're on the bus or you're at home, you can still play the same game and keep your progress and keep all this other stuff and not get hosed over and have to buy another version just for a different spot or location. And it's extremely pro consumer. I actually put out a tweet the other day that kind of went a bit viral about it to where I asked developers and publishers, please support it because people are wanting to build their libraries for the X and the Ally. And I actually got responses from publishers and studios, and like some are very very supportive and announced that, hey, yeah, we're bringing our game day and date, Play Anywhere, and it's easy to do. Like all we have to do is a few things and it's pro consumer and people enjoy it and it helps our games get played everywhere. It seems like a win-win to us, and I thought that was great news and worth sharing.
yeah. I mean, it's a cool feature, and like you said, the Japanese studios they pretty seem like really into Play Anywhere. But like you said, portable gaming's huge over there. But hey, this is huge news, really huge news because you know what's funny? I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it for everyone listening. I've said in the past, and we've both said this really, people that don't cover Xbox or Xbox fans, they aren't in the know about Xbox in any capacity, right? They don't know about Quick Resume, they don't know about Play Anywhere, any of that stuff. So not long ago, I saw a couple of people that are considered tech experts and insiders. They seem surprised that AAA games are now signing up to Play Anywhere, but Play Anywhere has been here for almost a decade. It's not new. It's not a new shiny technology that we all talking about now. It's just that more and more big developers are supporting it. And the rise of these new portables, people are going to want to play these games. And we're going to roll this into the next topic, which is the Xbox Ally devices, where they've been selling out. I'll have to check the UK, but they've been selling out in the US. And when the prices were announced last week, people were like, these cost too much. Nobody's going to buy these. And then what happened the next day when the pre-orders went up? Sold out. And the funny thing is, I've seen people go from nobody's going to buy these to they only sold out because they didn't get enough stock. It's like, come on. At least pick a lane and stick with it, right? You know, it's okay to admit that Microsoft got a win for a change. Hurrah! You know, they're cool devices. You know, Paris Lily, I'm sure everyone knows, like, when I was speaking to him on Boom Show a couple of weeks ago, he got to use the Xbox Ally devices, and he said the black one, the Ally X, he said that feels super premium. And it looks it too. I think that the way they've designed the screen, the way it hangs over your hands, kind of, like, I think it's a really interesting design. And like, Logan, even you pre-ordered one, right?
Yes, I managed to snag one. I'm very very excited for it.
Yeah, shiny new piece of kit. It looks cool. There's even a dock coming out for it. You can actually use an unofficial one as well. But like, it's selling out. People clearly want it, you know. And you know, you look at the PC space alone, just the PC side, right? For the past however many decades, right? If you wanted to play your PC games on the go, you had one option: overpriced gaming laptops, right? Gaming laptops are absurdly priced. But when the Steam Deck came out, people were like,
Or
oh,
melt your house.
yeah, oh my god. Have you seen some of the power bricks that come with gaming laptops?
Oh my gosh, and like it would set your lap on fire, literally. Like your legs would turn red. Those suckers got thermonuclear hot.
Yeah, I once had a go on a Alienware laptop, right? And I'm not even kidding, it needed two plugs. You need to plug it in twice, right? That's how much power that thing drew. But when the Steam Deck came out, it made people go, oh wait, we don't have to spend $3,000, $4,000 to play on the go. You know, like, hell, some Alienware laptops are like $5,000, like, stupid price, right? And that's $5,000 in pounds. Right, like, ridiculous prices. And you know, they had success with the Steam Deck, and all these other companies start making PC style handhelds. You know, Microsoft, they've partnered up with ROG, who clearly know how to make hardware, and they're having success with it. You know, one of my friends has the first version of the ROG Ally. He bloody loves the thing. And you know, this is it's more powerful. It's got the Xbox brand and Xbox integration and stuff, and people clearly seem happy with it. And the funny thing is, I've had a bunch of replies by angry people saying people are buying this thinking they're going to get their console games. It's like, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of games that support play anywhere, right? So if you
1300.
is that how many? 1,300. Wow. Oh yeah, so on chat as well.
Yes, as of a few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,300 games. That's a lot of games, and you don't have basically the shovelware games nobody's ever heard of supporting these features. Hell, most of these shovelware games don't even support features such as 4K, right, natively, right? So people are going to have access to a lot of their games, an ever-expanding catalog, and then there's also the cloud stuff, which you have access to. And like, if you play a lot of Game Pass and first-party Xbox games, that alone, you're sorted. Look at how many first-party games they've launched this year. All play anywhere. All access on the go. So, yeah, an Alienware Xbox. Can you imagine how much that would cost? Alienware Xbox, my god.
Same with my car, probably.
Yeah, oh my god. Please take my blood diamonds. But yeah, I mean, they're having success with it. And like, look, you have GTA coming out next year. It's not coming out on PC for the foreseeable future, but when it does get added, I can imagine they would maybe add that to Play Anywhere. Why not? Although it is Take-Two, so you have to be a bit weird with them.
Yeah, they're a little penny about that.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. But people seem fairly happy with it, you know. The thing is, it's not like a Switch, right? It's not like a Switch where it's like a dedicated handheld that's all it does is gaming. Like, these ROG Ally Xboxes, they are literal PCs, but handheld, right? You can play all your Windows games on them. Like, if you're like me, right, I don't play games on PC. I play two. That's a lie. I play two. I play Human Fall Flat Yes, I play that. And I play Homeworld Remastered Collection, right? That's it. But every time I'm on my PC, do you know what I do? I go to the Epic Games Store and I claim every single free game. Every single free game. I have no intention of playing them, by the way. I just claim them just in case. So do you know how many games I've got on the Epic Store right now? 306.
Impressive.
And I have no intention of playing them. You know, I've got everything from Death Stranding to Control, right? Because, and for people aren't doing that, claim your free games. Why not? It's just more games on the go. You're gonna have Epic Games Store on your Xbox Ally. You have GOG games. By the way, if you like old games, go to GOG. My God, that place is such a treasure trove, especially for like Logan, you like older games as well. Like, have you got any games off GOG?
Not yet, but I am about to start making my library because especially now that I'm getting the Ally X
Yeah.
whenever it gets here, like that Dino Crisis collection, Saboteur,
Oh yeah.
let's see, Singularity, Quake 4, some of these other games that are like lost to time or are not available on console for reasons. I can get there and then play it on this along with my Xbox library. Whoo, buddy, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah. So like I talk about there not being Star Trek games on consoles. I'm not even kidding. On GOG, you have access to a lot of them, right? You have the Star Trek Voyager games from the PS2. You have Star Trek Armada 1 and 2, right? You have a lot of Star Trek games on there. And, like, look, Logan, you like Star Wars games. Do you know what you can get on GOG? The Rogue Squadron games.
Oh my gosh, that on handheld.
Yeah,
Oh man, like Cloud 9, Chef's Kiss, buddy.
yeah. Tons of Star Wars games. Like, GOG is, like, an underrated PC store. And, like, I think I bought Star Trek Armada 2 for £4. You know, like just for whenever I do get to play it. But yeah, so if people like plan on getting a ROG, Xbox Ally, whichever one, just check out GOG. Treasure trove of old games there. Like so many games lost to time, which we complain about on a weekly basis. You know, GOG. Do I have GOG and Xbox EGS connected? I don't even know how to do that. I look when it comes to Xbox, I know what I'm talking about, right? I know every aspect about Xbox, the ecosystem, how it works. If you ask me how to link different stores on a PC, yeah, that's not me.
GOG actually tweeted out a few weeks ago, if you want to go find it, if people are interested, like a way to now sync your libraries with GOG and Xbox. Like, um, I'd have to find it again, but they are starting to make it where you can integrate your libraries in some capacity. I think in preparation for this Ally X and the next gen traditional console.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look. But look, I always talk about Resident Evil 2, the original. That game that scared the living daylights out of me as a child. By the way, I was not old enough to play that game. Why was I allowed to play that?
The liquor.
Yeah. Oh my god, that scared when it jumps through the window. Nightmares, man. But like that game, as much as I would love a new collection of that game, I don't know if Capcom's gonna do it ever. I don't think there's enough money in a collection of the older games for them. But like you can get Resident Evil 2 on GOG. So yeah, for everyone getting a Xbox ROG, like there you go. Like treasure trove of old games. But hey, they're gonna have success with it. I'm sure that over the coming weeks and months, we're going to see more accessories. In fact, my feed's already filled with cases, docks. I even linked you, Logan, the memory card The
Yes, that is very helpful. SanDisk.
Yeah, SanDisk. SanDisk must make bank off these companies, like because they have licensed Nintendo cards now. They have licensed
Yeah, I
Xbox.
have one.
Yeah, like they clearly know what they're doing, but it works. We have the first super chat of the day. Thank you very much, Nick, the horror game fan, for the 4.99. He says GOG is awesome because games are all DRM free. I completely forgot about that. See,
hmm
like I even though I'm a console gamer, GOG's just damn good, right? Like they do have new games
Should
and
change the name.
yeah, like I think the store name's a bit weird, but like outside of that, like they clearly know what they're doing. Like I'll just fire up GOG right now. Right, okay, you can get the Tomb Raider Definitive Trilogy for $9.97. Sorry, $9.79. But just like the older games you can get, clearly I have an obsession with older games. Right, look, Logan, Alpha Protocol, £10. That's
Okay, like, di- can I throw a conspiracy theory out there?
yeah.
Okay, part of me wonders if we've still been holding out hope for this backward compatibility batch, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I still hope it happens. But if it didn't happen, what if maybe a reason for it not happening was future planning for a integration or Steam integration, where these games would technically be playable side loaded and would have different legal entanglements than traditional console, but you could play them on a console type device like a ROG Ally, a next gen console, to where we weren't theoretically able to remaster or to make backwards compatible Saboteur or Singularity or Mech Assault or some of these other games, but you can play it on your console because you technically got it from a storefront that it was approved for back in the day, and maybe that's why. I don't know. It's something that's been on my mind a little bit because the idea of like, well, I can play Singularity and I can play Saboteur and all these games I want to play and Dino Crisis Xbox, yet it's not Xbox
Yeah.
part. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
I mean, it could be. Like, I'm looking at the store right now, and I know you'll end up getting this at some point, Logan. Stranglehold, £1.69.
Oh man, John Woo, that's
Yep.
so good.
And if I remember correctly, if you bought that on 360 or it might have been the PS3 version, yeah, you actually got the movie with it. I can't remember the name of the movie, like, but Cold Heat or something. It had a weird name, but yeah, thank you for the 4.99, Nick. GOG, like, again, old games, like some of the deals in here is like stupid, and I always talk. Let's be honest, I'm whining at this point about the lack of Star Trek games on console. That's not a problem on GOG. You even have like the classic In Exile Star Trek game, which is it's a RPG. But hey, Xbox Ally fans, the consoles come out, and when do those release? Is it the 16th of October?
I believe so. It was either the 16th or 19th. I know it was somewhere in that 3 day span.
Yeah, so people are going to be really happy with them, and it will be interesting because normally after these kinds of devices come out, depending on the popularity, and it looks like they're going to do well. You'll have more. Like Xbox is probably going to work with other companies. Like the dock alone, I think you can get one by ROG. I think that costs $99. I'll have to check. Like that thing's probably going to sell out at some point. A bunch of people have actually asked me this week, like, can I plug it up to a TV? Because a lot of people will buy this, and it will essentially be a PC you plug in, which is pretty cool. But hey, good stuff. You know what? Oh my god, we still have a bunch of stuff to talk about. You know what?
You can plug it in TV.
You can, yeah. But
Okay, good.
um, all you need really is like the USB-C to HDMI cable. But other than that, like with the dock, you're getting more USB ports. Dedicated HDMI, port, and also you have Ethernet on the dock as well. So if you play multiplayer, I'm guessing you're going to want the dock. But outside of that, I don't think it'll matter that much. Let's see what we've got. Okay, the new Halo game's going to be showing off soon. That was a random announcement. So the Halo Championships is in October. I'll have to check. I think it's October 26th. And they're going to show off something to do with the new Halo project. As far as you know, there's multiple Halo games or multiple projects in the works, one of which being the Unreal Engine 5 remake of the first game. It kind of came out this past week. I actually do believe these rumors that it's going to remix some of the levels up. So remember the library? I don't think that's going to be a thing in the new game, especially the way it was in the original. Because Logan, can you remember the library?
It was one of the single most awful levels in a game I've ever played, alongside the original Water Temple and Ocarina of Time. It was horrible.
Yeah, terrible, absolutely terrible. And I love Halo, but my God, I kind of have like the Lost Odyssey, blue worm thing with that level. Like every time I'd replay that game, which was a lot, I'd be dreading that level, absolutely dreading it. But yeah, it looks like the new Halo is going to be announced.
It was so unnecessarily hard.
Yeah, I don't even know why. Like, even if you play that game on easy, it's not that it's frustrating. Still, it's annoying. Like I played through that first game a lot, and I got lost every single time. Every time. Like, and it didn't help that back then, the structures of a lot of games, basically, you had flat walls and there wasn't much detail, so you didn't know which way you were going. Like in that first Halo game, I got lost a lot, admittedly. But it looks like that may not be the case. I've always been wanting Halo to go forward rather than backward, but if this is just one of the few projects, then hey, so be it. Like, Logan, what do you think? And it looks like it's going to be showing off during the Halo Championships.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very curious to see what Halo looks like truly in Unreal. And, apparently October 26th is when it's supposed to debut. So, looking forward to that. And like you, I hated the library, loved everything else about the original Halo. It's iconic. It's where it's so funny. It's the original of somehow fitting a vehicle in a space it's not supposed to be, so I could still use the turret
Yeah.
and have my homie squad members, with their rocket launchers or whatever, taking out, or fuel rod cannons taking out the grunts and the elites and stuff in areas, and the Flood are gonna be terrifying and Unreal, and like a remake of it. I can't wait for it. And it wouldn't shock me if maybe one of their other Halo projects gets a tease as well, because they're reportedly working on several things. So, I mean, this one's obviously the most far along, but something tells me we might see a hint of something else too.
Yeah, I think that, Halo, it's been for the longest time now. Like, when did Halo Infinite come out? 2021. So, like, if you're like me and you don't do multiplayer, I haven't really had new Halo content for a while. you know, like, give me stories.
So much for the 10-year plan.
Oh my God, I would have bought every single expansion, every single one. But I'm just not.
Same.
And like, by the way, can developers stop with this 10-year plan stuff? Just stop it, right? Like, it never works out. Nobody ever follows through with it. And I think maybe, and we can't even say Destiny followed through with it because they came out with a sequel. But then again, it is quote unquote free to play now, but you have to pay for the expansions. I could go on all day about that. But hey, it looks like we are going to see some, new Halo content, and I'm excited. I will say this: I loved the grappling hook in Halo Infinite. I think that's a really cool way to get around.
Same.
And it really didn't make the maps feel limited. Like, you could go wherever you want, however you wanted, and the grapple hook really helps. So who knows what will happen? I'm sure people will comb over whatever footage they come out with and like try and find like little Easter eggs, or what kind of pistol is in this game. Is it the one from original Combat Evolved or the anniversary version? Because that matters apparently. I guarantee you this though. The second we see a Spartan running on screen, you are going to see untold anger by people that can't get into Sprint in 2025. Like, oh god. And by the way, I still want a sequel to Halo Infinite. I think we will get that. I think, having multiple Halo projects in the works at the same time makes sense. And we used to have that. We used to have Halo ODST in the same development cycle as, Halo Reach. Like, how crazy was that? We had Halo 3, Halo Reach, and then Halo 4 just within a span of a couple of years. Crazy. And in the meantime, those games also got map packs. My God. By the way, that really annoyed me. Remember the Craig meme from Halo Infinite?
Oh, yes, Craig.
And as someone that makes GIFs, right, I'm going to nerd out for a second here. Yes, that's right. I'm nerding out over stats. My God, I'm sad. But when it comes to GIFs, like, you work with individual frames. So, like, whenever I post a GIF on Twitter, I know how many frames per second I'm using because I'm dealing with compression, nerd stuff. All I'll say is that the person that found that specific picture of Craig had to scrub that footage frame by frame. Literally. You couldn't find that. If maybe this person accidentally paused on that exact frame, but as someone that makes GIFs for video games and movies, you have to scrub individual frames to find that stuff. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there because, my God, that caused so much drama. People got so angry over a person most people wouldn't even see. Like, they didn't really change up the character models that much, and you don't notice because you're fighting super quick. You're flying all around the map using the grappling hook, and you're fighting for your life because people are shooting at you. Well, nobody would stand there in a game and look for this particular Craig meme in real life. Nobody would really do that. Hopefully. I try to have a little bit more respect for the human race, but no, my luck, and let's be honest, people are disappointing, but yeah, people scrubbed individual frames for that. Sad. But yeah, Halo, more content's coming. I do say this though. I think Halo needs to span out a bit more into different kinds of games. We don't need just first-person shooters. We'll still have them, but I would like something like a horror game. Like, Logan, can you remember when that horror game, that fake leak happened in 2015 about the Flood horror game?
Yes, I have been like leading the battalion on this hill for a decade plus. We need a Halo horror game. Come on, it is easy bank. That, an ODST game, you could make a Halo RPG, make an actual Halo Wars 3. Like, not everything has to be John focused. We love John. We love Halo and the story and the traditional experience. Keep that going. But also make these other things too. My gosh, it's such a huge world and universe and lore just rotting and just it's a colossal missed fumbled bag and they need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, look, you look at all the RPG studios. Why not make a third-person shooter RPG? They could do anything. Halo's a big enough IP that they can do different stuff. Like, look, I whine about Star Trek on a daily basis because that is a hilariously mismanaged IP. And do you know one of the reasons why we don't get a lot of video games about Star Trek? It's because Star Trek is a very boxed-in franchise. Like, if you're a Star Trek game, you have to be about Starfleet. You have to be. But if you're a Star Wars game, you can be about Jedi. You can be about Sith, bounty hunters, smugglers. You can be about Mandalorians, right? Like, Star Wars is so open that they could do basically any genre in it, right? You could do farming games in Star Wars if you want. You can't do that with Star Trek. But with Halo, Halo is a big enough universe that they really could branch out and do different things. They could do an action stealth game with an Oni employee or whatever. They could do anything, right? Halo doesn't have to be a boxed in franchise like Star Trek. And don't get me wrong, if if a company announced tomorrow that we're getting a new AAA Star Trek game where you command a starship and it's a Mass Effect style game, that game's getting bought so hard. Like, people won't hear from me for a week. But like Halo, there's so many different opportunities you could do, and like it would just be nice to get more than one Halo game every decade now, every half decade. Like, you don't just have to have 343 or Halo Studios make games. They could have anyone make them. Like, look at The Witcher 3, right? The Witcher 3 fundamentally changed CD Projekt Red as a studio to the point now where they are making like 5 games at the same time. They are letting other studios, there's 2 other studios making Witcher games. They haven't been announced yet, but there's 2 other studios making Witcher games. And they can do that now, right? Halo's a big enough franchise that they should be able to do that. And yeah, look at Mario, right? Mario isn't just about running along side to side, jumping on Goombas and stuff and jumping into pipes. There's Mario Tennis, Mario Party, and then you have different kinds of Mario games. You have Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine. I will defend Mario Sunshine. I'm one of those people.
Same.
It's a good game, and it was back in the time when every game had to be set on a tropical beach for some reason. Mysterious time. But like you look back and like Mario, there's Mario RPGs, there's Mario GRPGs, right? You could do anything, and like they could do that with Halo. You know, I will play a million games where I can play as Master Chief, no complaints whatsoever. But if you can give me a different game, maybe I get to play it as Buck. Maybe I get to play as Buck before he became a Spartan, right? Anything. And I think that's the beauty of Halo, that I think Microsoft still need to realize that it's a universe you can open up. You don't have to be boxed in like Star Trek. Do something different. And like, look, every single time, by the way, I think I've mentioned Star Trek 400 times today. Star Trek's tried to experiment elsewhere, and it never worked, right? Star Trek Picard, right, brought back the best Star Trek character of all time, and it ended up becoming more like an OG Star Trek show because they realized that Star Trek really works with a captain and a crew on a ship. That's what happened with that, right? Same as Star Trek Prodigy. Same exact thing happened. It's a boxed-in franchise. Halo doesn't have to be that. Anyway, that's me rambling about Halo for a bit. But hey, we get to see basically a Halo game this month. Now, we'll quickly talk about this one because, it's getting late. The Elder Scrolls had another quote-unquote leak. How, it's meant to have dragons and shipbuilding and stuff, which we've kind of seen before. They went into full production when Starfield came out. Like, they put out a post saying, look, Starfield's going to continue to get more content, and it is. We should be finding out more about Starfield soon. Like Elder Scrolls, it's heavy in development. They're using a new version of the creation engine. I think they're going to be really good with it. Like, Logan, we keep hearing stuff about Elder Scrolls, and like the original rumor that it was coming out in 2026. I don't believe that anymore. I think next year is too stacked to the point where I think they will be saving Elder Scrolls for their next console, which I think 100% believe now it's a 2027 thing.
I agree with you. I think Elder Scrolls 6 will be a launch title for the next gen in 27. I love the leaks that have been coming out. Dragons coming back is awesome and all this other stuff. And yeah, 2027 launch title, it's bundle it together. It seems like just a huge win for me.
Yep. And, we're obviously going to talk about that more in the future because if any game's going to leak, it's going to be Elder Scrolls. The funny thing is people are on about like what games are coming out next year from Microsoft. Like Halo is kind of being pointed at now that it'll come out next year. Forza Horizon 6 comes out next year. Fable, as of now, is still coming out next year. Gears of War E-Day is meant to come out next year. I just Nick had been running 1.5 miles on the treadmill while you've been doing the podcast. I really want to get a treadmill for when I play games, but I have a cat, and he would be curious. So,
He tried to assassinate you.
I mean, the thing is, he's clumsy. I'd know he'd hurt himself, so I wouldn't want to get one for that. But I do want to get a treadmill for just playing video games on, because it's going to get cold, really cold soon. And let's be honest, I'm from the Northeast. I'm basically a vampire. I'm that pale. No, you know what? I'm not like a vampire. I'm more like a witcher. I drink alcohol and I'm pale. I just need the long hair now. Clockwork Revolution. I 100% think that's coming out next year. 100%. I cannot wait for Clockwork Revolution. That's one of my most anticipated games. In Exile making a first-person shooter with time mechanics. Sign me up. Do you know what? So the big thing that's in the title, I've just realized, which I've been meaning to talk about this whole show, completely forgot about. Okay. Prototype. I completely forgot about it. So Prototype.
I was actually just about to bring it up.
Yeah, I don't know why I forgot about that, but yeah, so Prototype kind of leaks. People found some updated files in the Steam database for Prototype, and these are added missions that were cut from the original game. And basically, if you look at Microsoft's past month or so, like they've been updating Steam databases, Transformers Warfare, Fall of Cybertron, I'm all over the place now, Fall of Cybertron got relisted on Steam, and people went on the Wayback Machine over the weekend and found out that it did actually get removed in, I think, 2024, and now it's back. So, like, people are finding these listings, and now someone on Reddit, and obviously with Reddit we have to take this with a pinch of salt, that with the updated files and the cut content, it's pointing towards an Oblivion style remake / remaster, and something like this, I can't imagine it'd be that far off from being announced. So potentially a Game Awards thing. And some people will say, but didn't Prototype technically already get remastered? No. We can't call that a remaster. When the Xbox,
it's a demaster.
Yeah, it's a demaster. And for people that don't know, when the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out, because we didn't have backwards compatibility at that point, Activision released these ports of both Prototype games, and they look and perform worse than the 360 and PS3 versions. So, like, yeah, we can't call them remasters. But Prototype, such an amazingly fun game, right? I had so many fun hours just going through the city, destroying stuff. Alex Mercer, I think the lead character's name was. Like, it's just such a cool character. It's not even it's not a superhero game. It's not an anti-hero game or a villain game. You're just something different. And there's a reason for it, although the end mission of that game really made me angry, where you're fighting on the ship. But super cool game. I didn't expect it would come back this soon. Logan, what do you think? Because when Microsoft bought Activision, this was one of the big talking points, a new Prototype game. And I think a lot of people will take an Oblivion-style remake if that's the case.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I am super stoked for this, as take another shot, 7th gen reference, but for our drinking game at this point. But just back then, you had Infamous, and you had you had Crackdown, like these open world, like superheroes, anti-hero, law enforcement, like whatever, roided up character that was super powerful and could destroy all this stuff in a city and cause chaos. And it was a different time, and I'm really excited for this to come back. I love the idea of a director's cut remaster remake where they basically put back in stuff that, Activision kind of shoehorned out for various reasons, either for time constraints, budget, whatever, or they can add them in as like an expansion basically. And, if they upscale it like they did the Oblivion remaster, which is basically a remake, I that is awesome news, and it lines up with another leak or two that happened within the last year or so, where some other people that are content creators or testers for various things had put out their word out there that prototype was being resurrected and being tested on various things. So that's been out there a while, and this just adds more information. And the fact that there's concrete evidence now that you can look at, people are being added to credits of this. It's including Iron Galaxy, who, if as long as I remember correctly, was not involved at all with the original one.
Nope.
Maybe they were, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe they were involved with the original one. So that would hint at something new, obviously. They just did the remaster of Tony Hawk 3-4 in that collection. So they clearly have good experience with Xbox resurrecting some of these games and have a good relationship with them, and they must feel good about their work. So to me, this passes the smell test, and I think this is real. And I wouldn't be shocked if this is a Game Awards thing or a developer direct. One more thing in January.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Um, and bear in mind, as soon as I say this, I guarantee we're all of a sudden gonna hear other people talk about it. I think that is gonna be a shadow drop at the Game Awards.
I like it.
Microsoft,
It feels right.
yeah, Microsoft, they surprised us with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black out of nowhere, shadow drop. Hi-Fi Rush a couple of years ago, Oblivion. Even though we all knew about it beforehand, it was still a shadow drop. Uh, like, look, a new prototype, remake or remaster, that's not going to set the world on fire. Not really, but it's going to get a lot of people excited. And it's a fun game. And if people haven't played it yet, you're in for a treat, because that first game in particular, I just like the open city in that game. Like, it's just a fun game. You're basically Venom at the end of the day in that game. Similar type of powers, just going through crowds of people, and like that was one of those one of those games back in the day that would make your 360 pretty loud. Like what it was doing with crowds back then and destructibility. The fact that you could throw a tank at a helicopter, just fun stuff like that. But yeah, Logan, have you got anything else to say on prototype or anything else before we close out the show?
Just that I'm very hopeful that it's coming soon, and I cannot wait to play that game again because, like you said, the ports are there's something. They're technically there, and if you want to play the game, you can, but it desperately needs this. So I really hope it's soon.
Yeah. Oh, I'll mention this quickly. So during Xbox's Tokyo Game Show event, they announced a game that released that day on Xbox, and that's called Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven. It's a turn-based JRPG with some action-based elements. It supports play anywhere. It looks really good, and yeah, that's a big Square Enix title announced out of nowhere. So like Square Enix support on Xbox has gone through the roof. I think currently it's on sale, for $34.99 in the UK. But yeah, if people are interested in more Square Enix JRPGs, that's out now. I think that you're gonna see certain clickbait over the next coming weeks and whatnot. But like, and Jez Corden pointed this out on Twitter, and he had a good point that you have certain ex-employees from Microsoft just bashing Xbox on a daily basis now, and the fan base. But yet, if you look at Xbox as a whole, they have more Japanese support than ever before. Third-party support is basically more than ever before. They're coming out with handhelds. They're updating their feature set. Like, if you're an Xbox fan and you like Xbox stuff on Xbox, like, at the minute, you can't really complain about anything. Like, there's nothing really bad happening. Yeah, you have the Microsoft Awards thing, but it feels like we have something to complain about about Microsoft Awards on a bi-monthly basis with the changes. But, like, on an Xbox level, it's all been good. Anyway, everyone in chat has been amazing. For the people that's just tuning in now, if you go back to the beginning of the show and maybe you listen later, I will apologize up front because I had no idea. The audio is all messed up. So once the podcast is ended, YouTube will render the video, and then afterwards I will go in and I'll just cut out the first 4 or 5 minutes wherever the audio is all messed up. So if people are listening now and you tune in later, that's why there's no intro to the show. Because OBS, it makes me grind my teeth. I swear. Like, it's a great piece of software, but it's the only piece of software that just deletes all of your settings all the time for no reason. But other than that, we're back for a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast next Tuesday, same time. The clocks do go back. Actually, Logan, when do the clocks go back in the US?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I haven't looked yet. Usually my dad's the one who keeps tabs of that, and then he'll let me know, and then I'll reset the clock. You know how dads are.
Okay. Well, in the UK, it's the end of the month, but basically, for people that do know or don't know, the show will be on at the same time it would be in the US. It's just in the UK and Europe, it'll be a different time. I do have a video coming out tomorrow. It's actually a pretty big one. I've been working on it for a month and a half now. Hope people enjoy that. That should be out tomorrow at 10 p.m. UK time. Big video. Lots of stuff that Xbox fans will really like. And yeah, we'll be back for a new episode next week. Hope you enjoyed tomorrow's video. We are out, everybody. Peace. Oh, and by the way, our links to our Twitters in the description down below. Peace out.